Okay, next, let's go for RVN. On RVN, since the second phase of our session today is supposed to be about supply and demand, so I've added some supply and demand examples. And of course, it's always practical, right? So on RVN, we previously had a demand zone right here, which you can clearly see an aggressive movement upward from this area. So which makes the consolidation before the impulse movement the entire base. So that's it. Okay. As you see, price went up. That's a demand, retested it and traded higher from it. Okay. We're applying the same logic now. We have an aggressive movement upward from here. That's why this is a demand zone. Okay. So as price retests it, we'll be looking for buy setups. Okay. That's it for the demand. For a supply, as you see here, we had an aggressive movement down from it, which makes it a supply, right? And inside this big movement, okay, try to find one more aggressive movement down. That's it. Exactly. Okay. So this is also an aggressive movement downward, which makes what? Also this area as a supply zone, this entire zone. And as you see, price rate higher, filled it, traded lower, just like the previous supply, which was this entire range before the aggressive movement happened. Filled it, traded lower. Anyway, for now, let's update it. That's it. We had two demand zones, in fact, here. The first one was here. Okay, but as you can see, price broke it down. So not every demand is like foolproof or like it's like bulletproof. Okay, so no matter how strong it is, it can still be broken down or upwards. That's why we don't buy blindly around the demand. We zoom into lower time frames and look for setups. Let me give you an example. If you zoom into H4 time frame, we can see that previously we had a demand here. So let me draw it. So as price retests it, I was looking for buy setup. So I was waiting for the bulls to take over. But as you see, lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. So no break above the last major high. That's why this demand is broken downward. So it's no longer acting as a demand and no longer effective. So I deleted it. And now we've got what? This next demand, which is still fresh. So as price retests it, as we approach it, the more the better, we'll be looking for buy setups. That's why anyway you see my alert right here at the beginning of the demand zone. I to know that the price is now diving inside this demand zone. So yeah, I was waiting for this break previously, it didn't happen. Now we are bearish, we are trading inside this channel right here. Let's make it in red, offset for it. That's it, a very clean channel. For the bulls to take over, we need to see what? We need to see this break like this, and then we can like buy RVN, and we can update this area to be like this. So now I'm waiting for this, a new high, and then a break above it. Then the bulls will take over, or even this movement, for example, and then the buyers will take over. That's our first demand zone example. Our second example is on AVAX. We can clearly see a massive one on daily time frame. Okay. Previously, if you want on weekly, of course, we had multiple demand zones. First, we had this demand. Okay. So a rally, a rally, a base, rally. So that's a demand from 10 to 15. And as you see, price retested it and traded higher. Okay. Since we had an aggressive movement upward from here, that's now a demand. And guess what? Price is retesting it. Okay. That's first. Second, we've got what? We've got this demand right here because impulse, consolidation, and aggressive movement upward, that's a demand. And as you can see, price, filled it and traded higher. Okay. That's it. Now, demand, it's still fresh. Price is retesting it. Also, just like Bitcoin, a low now as price is retesting this low, looking for buy stops on lower time frames to catch this small bullish movement. But from a long-term perspective, this is our last major high that we want the price to break above for the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective. That's our low and high from daily. It looks better. Currently retesting this previous low, which you can see started from here. So yeah, we can still dive inside the zone before trading higher. That's why you see my alert here as well. And you can see one here for this high and one here for this high. Okay, so sorry about that. From a short-term perspective, that's why you see this alert right here. You can see it from H4 better. We are trading inside this channel, waiting for the bulls to take over. So I'm waiting for something like this to happen. But basically, I would like to see a break above this area. Meanwhile, until the bulls take over, we can still trade lower and lower before breaking it up. In this case, of course, we'll be updating our analysis. If, for example, we trade lower, trade lower, we'll be waiting for this, for example, and then we'll buy on swing upward. So that's basically it for AVAX. Now let me check if you want some requests. Okay, let me check. Okay, if you want to go over a specific coin, let me know in the members talk. Like we still have like 10 minutes. I try to go over as much as possible, and I keep an eye on the requests as well. Okay, let me check. Okay, let's go to ATC. And you know what? I'll go by for them by order, unless some of you request something, in the members talk, then I will do it. On ATC, we also have a demand zone. As you clearly see, why it's a demand? Because we had an aggressive movement from here. Okay, it's a rally, a consolidation or a base, then a rally. And price is currently testing this demand. That's why we'll be looking for bust ups, of course, unless it's broken downward. In this case, further bearish move would be expected, and this would be our next support zone, which we can see better if we zoom out. Okay. But for now, let's take step by step. The bulls can still kick in from here and break above the previous high. The exact same thing we saw on Raven coin or RVN. For the bulls to take over, we need to see a break above the previous high. For now, it's here. Let's make it, I don't know why it's in purple. Let's make it in gray. For example, like this, and then the bulls will take over. From a short-term perspective, of course, you also got this high. So if you break it upward, the bulls will take over from a short-term perspective, and then here from a medium-term perspective. Okay, on OP, we broke below this support. Now it's a resistance around round number 1. Now the next support is around the 0.5 to 0.6. This entire support, which is also a demand, this is also a demand, right? So we're looking for bust ups right here, knowing that price can still dive inside the zone before trading higher. If you go to H4 time frame, we also can see a very similar channel, just like ETC and RVN. That's it, a trend line pushing price lower. This is our next support. So yeah, we'll be expecting a very similar movement, just like this. And here's the offset for the channel. Okay, waiting for the bulls to take over by breaking above the last high on the upper trend line. On STX, okay, this was from last week. We are still waiting for this break. Didn't happen. That's the power of waiting for extra confirmation for the bulls to take over first before you jump in. No matter how strong is the support, no matter how strong is like the overall trend, the rejection, whatever, always wait for the bulls to take over before you jump in. Weekly time frame, already around the strong support 0.3, that's our resistance 0.5. For the bulls to take over from a long-term perspective, we need to see this break. From a short-term perspective, we need to see a break above, okay, like this is from a long-term, as you saw from weekly. From a short-term, we need to see this break above this one right here, which didn't happen yet. On Matic, we are currently retesting this medium-term resistance and support, also a demand, as we had an aggressive movement upward from here. If we break it downward, it wouldn't be good. We'll be expecting further bearish movement. And for the bulls to take over here, we need to see this movement like this, and then a break above this high. Okay, that's for Matic. On XLM, the exact same thing. Waiting for the bulls to take over. We are still waiting for it, so let's update it. That's it. We have a double bottom forming. If we trade lower again to this lower area, I'll be looking for shorter buy setups right here, just like previously, here and here. Because we are currently around a strong demand zone. That's it. Aggressive movement upward from here. Let me check the comments. Okay. If you want to ask about a specific coin, let me know. I would be happy to do it. Meanwhile, I'll just continue with my list. On Algo, we are retesting also the support and resistance, as you see, around 0.2. On lower time frames, we are currently inside this range. As we trade lower, that's why you see alert here and alert here, and also midway between the two. But now approaching this lower one, I'll be looking for buy stops on lower time frames. If it's broken downward, we'll be expecting further bearish movement at the 0.2 zone. If you go to H4, that's it. We can draw this channel right here. That's it. So as we trade lower, lower, I'll be looking for buy stops, and of course, this buy above the channel. Cheers.